Hey there, and welcome to my next session. Today we want to talk about how we can get actually motion capturing data into Unity. So because of Corona times, we will just import motion capturing data which is already recorded, but in later sessions I will show you how you can do that by yourself with different tracking technologies. And then, how to combine that with the scenes we've already checked out in my last tutorial. So also this really nice example scene from keijiro. So how we can get our own characters in there and how to connect it to the Unity VFX graph. Okay, so first of all, download the Git repo if you haven't done it yet. And after that, there are a couple of examples in there and 3 different Unity projects. And what we want to check out in this tutorial is the third one, which is called Animated Character VFX. So maybe let's do that quickly together. So I've already downloaded the package here, open it, and then extract it. So I will copy this one somewhere into my workspace. And here on the Unity. So this will take a while. What you need to do is you need to save it somewhere on your hard disk, like I did on C Workspace Unity somewhere. And then in the Unity Hub, we'll do it in a second. As soon as everything is downloaded, you can click on Add Project to add this project to your projects list here. And then you're pretty much ready to go. Make sure you have Unity 2020 installed. It doesn't matter if it's 2021 to 3. Just make sure that it's a newer version of Unity and that everything works in a proper way with the VFX graph. In our project, there will be a couple of test scenes. So if you go into the SS folder, there's already one scene which is basically set up on this keijiro example file, which is called recorded mocap data scene. Maybe feel free to already check that one out. Test around how he did set up the VFX graph animations, and play around. But what we want to do today is get our own animations into Unity. What we can already do in the meanwhile, there's a nice website called Mixamo, an Adobe-based platform. So if you do not have an account by now, feel free to create one or connect with a Google account or whatever. And what you can do there is you can search for mocap animations, character rig animations. So let me quickly show you the website. And what you can do here is you can select or search for different animation patterns. And in our example, maybe we just want to download one of these simple dancing animation examples here. You can play around with the values like energy level and then character arm space. They should be more closely to each other or spread in a wider angle. Then there's overdrive, which basically speeds up the animation speed. You can also mirror the animation and so on. So now what we want to do is want to download the character, but the animation as well. And in here you can select different file formats. What we want to use is here FBX for Unity. 30 frames per second is fine. Skin means if there should be some kind of material on the model, so this is fine. And keyframe reduction can be set to none. Okay, then let's download everything. Now, first of all, we want to open our just downloaded scene in Unity. So you can just click here in the Unity hub on Add. Then we can search for Workspace, Unity, and then you can see my Kinect VFX main scene is already downloaded. Select folder. Oh, sorry. Of course, we need to select the Unity scene, not the whole folder, because right now there are 3 different Unity scene or Unity project in there, and we just want to select the third one here. So let's click on select that one and just click on it, and now it will open. Okay, this took a while, but now we are back in Unity. Yeah, basically here's our test scene. So which is called recorded mocap data scene. So let's open that one. This was already part of the last tutorial, but maybe we can check it out together again. If you press on play, you can see that keijiro already added some nice animation in there, some nice particle effects, and already a model. But we want to do that now from scratch so that we can add our own animations, our own model in there. What we want to do is first of all create a new scene. Can be basic inverse as well, and then maybe we'll call it character animations or character animation scene. Okay, now we have an empty scene here, basically nothing in there. And we already downloaded one model and some animation files from our platform. So what we can do here is, what we should do is in Assets, we create a new folder which is called Models. And then out of our download folder, we can just drag and drop our FBX files into Unity. Okay, now we can already see that we have a prefab here. So basically a character model, and then there's already an animation file here which is called Silly Dancing. You can already preview it underneath here. So if you want to add this model or also the animations that you already seen, just drag and drop the prefab into our hierarchy here. Let's go into the game mode. Okay, already looks kind of nice, but as you can see in the basic Unity setup scene, doesn't look so good because there's just a spotlight on top. So maybe like we did in our last tutorials, we had an empty here lights, put the spotlight in there, and then maybe we'll add another spotlight at the front. Let's go into our scene. And then we'll put that one a little bit more in front, and maybe we can tilt it with the rotation tool. Okay, it looks still not perfect because the main camera is positioned beneath us. So let's put that one in front of us. Rotate the camera around Y 180. And then in the game mode, yeah, it looks kind of nice. Maybe go a little bit way. Okay. Now, let's save our scene first. Okay, if we now hit play, nothing will happen. Why? Because there's already a character in there, but as you can see here, there's nothing attached to it at all. So what we need to do is we need to add an animator to our model here. So there are several ways, but the easiest way is if you go to Window and then Animation, you can add this animation timeline here underneath, and then you already see that to begin animating your prefab, create an animator, and that's what we are doing right now. So we click here on Create. Then we need to name it. Maybe character animator. Okay, and now you can see that we have a timeline here. There's nothing attached by now, but yeah, we have an animator with a controller script here, and so at least there's something going on. So what we need to do, but is to attach an animation to our animation controller. Okay, cool. So let's do that. We can double click here on our controller. And now, as you can see, there's already one basic node attached here. So the animator controller, I mean, we've talked about that in a previous tutorial already, but just to recap a little bit, the animator controller has different nodes. So there's like an entry node. So as soon as our object is attached to the scene or is enabled, the scene will go into the entry mode, then over this transition here to our first animation node. And because here there's only the character animation attached, but this one is empty, what we want to do here is add an actual animation. And there you can see that the city dancing animation, if you click on this target icon, is already attached to our assets. So now what will happen, as soon as we enter the scene, over this transition node, we will enter the character animation node here. Maybe we can rename that already to silly dancing. That makes sense that the bigger these nodes you get, you have a nice overview of what's actually going on. So you know that this one is the silly dancing node. And now if we hit play, you can see that yeah, this node already got attached. And the cool thing is, if you split the screen here and drag your animation to the right side, you can also see in real time what's going on here. So entry mode, we are playing the silly dancing move, and then everything stops. You can also loop these ones, but what we want to do now is add even more animations to our scene. So let's do that. So what we can do is go back to the Adobe platform, and there are also like animation packs, which are kind of nice because in there are a lot of yeah, different animations included. So let's search maybe for like here, or error. There were a couple of ones. Yeah, this one I was searching for. This is called Capoeira Pack, and there are 39 animations included. So this is quite a nice setup to start with. And we can click here on download. What we want to do here in pose is no character at all, so that only the animations get packed together. Unity FBXS file, and then fine, and then we can just click on download. In Unity, in our models folder, maybe we can already add a new folder in here, which is called animations pack. And this will be the place where we'll extract all the files as soon as they are downloaded. Okay, here we go. Let's extract all of these, or maybe let's extract it here first. And then we can just drag and drop all of these here into Unity. Okay. As soon as this is done, what we now want to do is we want to add some more animations here to our character, that we understand of how we can add animation cycles and how we can switch between animations. So what we now can do is here create a new state. Maybe let's call that capoeira 01. And then we can just select one of these animation clips here. There are different ones. Maybe just this chopper here. Oh, I have to name it again. Here we go. And then what we can do by right-clicking on the latest node, we can make a transition and then drag and drop it, for example, here to this end node, exit node. Then that means that nothing will happen anymore. Or we can attach new nodes here. And if we hit play now, you can see that Silly Dancing is played first, and then it's moving over to our next animation node here. And maybe let's add some more states. Copy and paste the name here. 2. Add an animation here. Transition. Now, if we want to loop this whole circle here, what we can do is just close the transition circle here. And now, as you can see here on the left side, the different animations are looping through. Okay, nice. So that's basically it. We've created our own, we downloaded our own first character. We added this one to the scene. We created or imported some different animations, and we connected all of these here in our animation, our animator node-based tool. If you want to know more about this node-based tool, how you can also control things with it, how you can start and stop animations and so on, maybe check out my video tutorial about the VR elevator scripts, because there everything is more or less included. Of course, it's based on a VR scene, but it shows how to animate things and how to start and stop them, how to use events and triggers. So yeah, if you want to do a more advanced, or maybe even yeah, for example, keyboard event controlled animation system here, check out this one. Okay, now what we want to do is we've created a nice animation character here. So maybe we want to rename it animation character. And that we can use that one now in our VFX scene, because we want to add some particles to these animations. We can save it as a prefab, and what we should do in our assets folder, create a new folder which is called prefabs. So there are all our own prefabs in there. And then we can just drag and drop our whole component into that one, or our whole prefab. And what we would like to do is we do not want to keep the original prefab, because we might change some stuff in the future. So we want to add, or we want to create a variant out of it. Okay. You can also remove the variant name here. But now we have our own prefab, and we can now switch the scene and drag and drop it to our VFX example scene. Okay. So then let's go back to assets and then into recorded mocap data scene. I should save the old scene as well. Okay. Now only the examples mentioned before are in here. So what we want to do is now drag and drop our own character in here. Okay, now you can see our character is already there. He's dancing around inside of our VFX scene, but there's nothing going on right now, so there are no particles attached or anything at all. Okay, now what we can do, because if we check out what keijiro did here, basically he had also this body attached to the scene which was moving around, but then there's one tool he created by himself which is called a skin mesh baker, and that's exactly what we need for our character as well. So what we want to do here in our prefab, create a new empty, which is also called baker, and then as in the example we want to add a mesh baker script here. So maybe you can just search for bake or skin mesh. And now if we compare these two scripts, so we can see that what keijiro did basically here is he added one source to his mesh baker script, because what the script does, I mean, without going too much in detail, but what the script does is getting the mesh data out of one particular mesh. So this one you need to connect here, and then based on the positions of the vertices of the mesh, it's giving it's transferring this data into the VFX nodes later on. So what we want to do here is we have also a baker, but now we need to add the skin mesh renderer. And actually we have two, because as you can see here in the scene, there's one which is called beta joints. So these are all the parts highlighted here, like all these bones connectors, and then we have beta surface, which is basically the suit around this whole character. So the cool thing about the class keijiro wrote is that you can add as many sources as you like. So we can first of all add maybe the beta joints, so that all the beta joints get included in our VFX system. But you can add the beta surface as well. Okay. Now, what's happening here? We see that we have a lot of errors right now. So as soon as we added our skin mesh renderer modules here, we are getting these console errors. And why? If we are checking out what the console error says, it says that we are not allowed to access the vertex data from our mesh. And that's because if we go back into our project, into the original downloaded model, so basically this one, you can see here on the right side that read-write enabled is not ticked on. So basically right now Unity is not allowed to read out the mesh data. So we need to tick that one on, and here click on apply. And now all the errors are gone. Okay, cool. So if we play the scene again, everything is working. We have the mesh renderer attached. There are no console errors. But of course, our VFX effects do not know right now that they need to connect to the new model. And that's the point where we can check out what keijiro did here in the top part. So maybe what we want to do now is can either first of all try out how it works if we just edit this one here, but maybe for our purpose we already want to copy and paste. So just by click Control-C, Control-V, we can copy and paste the particle effect up here. So maybe we'll just get to this one by now. And we can maybe rename that one as well. Particles, for example. Now we have our own VFX node up here. And now, if we're checking out what kind of classes keijiro used here, there's one which is called VFX property binder. And like the name already says, this one is basically the bridge between our baked skin mesh renderer and our VFX node. So it's basically transferring the data coming out of our skin mesh renderer to the VFX graph. And what we can do now here is, because the target is still set to the Baker script from keijiro, we can change it to our one. If you want to do it in a better way, you can also maybe rename your Baker here to character Baker or something. Otherwise, it's hard to find out which Baker is added to which mesh. So let's change the target here now to our character Baker. And then you can already see that the animations are coming out of our new object here. So let's hit play. Sorry, did I do everything right? Character Baker. Ah, okay, funny. Not sure what happened, but probably I did not save everything like I should. Okay, I added now the sources again. And if we play now, you can see that our particle effects are added to beta joints and beta surface. And yeah, if you want to have less points which are transferred from our mesh to the VFX graph, then we can also shrink them down here a little bit. Okay, cool. So the first step is done. If you want to achieve more look like we had before, you can also remove the materials, for example, from the beta joints or the beta surface. So just by clicking here on materials and set this one to 0, the whole animation or the whole rig gets transparent because there's no material attached anymore, and then you have a more transparent ghosty look. Okay. Now, last but not least, I would say we are nearly there. I just want to show you guys in the last step how you can create your own VFX graph. We've done that in the previous tutorial, but just that we can do that together again. So here in our assets pack, we already have a VFX folder, and by right-clicking here, you can create a new VFX graph. Oh, probably I did not click on it in a proper way. Create VFX graph. Here we go. You can call that character VFX. Okay, and now what we can do is, here in our character particles, because right now we are still connected to the example particle effect, but we can drag and drop just our character VFX graph in here. And then you can see this is the basic setup of the VFX node, that we have attached our own character VFX node to our model here. But of course, because it's not set up how the others are set up, it's not doing what it should do right now. But what we can easily do is we go into the examples we have in our scene. We can just open one of them. Then we can simply just drag and drop or select everything here, right click, copy value, or you can also just use Control-C. Then we go back into our character VFX graph. Here we can just delete everything, and with Control-V paste everything in there again. And then you can see, okay, cool, the particle effects are there. But now I have my own VFX node or VFX graph set up to play around with. And now what you can do, or what you should do, is with this setup, of course, let's save the scene again, but yeah, start to play around here with the values. For example, in here, in a range between 0 and 1, the particles change the color. So maybe we add our own colors here, play around with that. And already in real time you can see how the particles change. And yeah, maybe we can also play around here with the color values. So this one is more glowy. And maybe here with a multiplier for changing the scale of them. And as you can see, just with, I don't know, playing around with 3 or 4 different values, we can achieve a whole other different look. And yeah, maybe check out my last tutorial about how the VFX graph works basically, but there are tons of tutorials out there where you can yeah, check out nice examples. And also in our downloaded Git repo file under the second project, there are tons of examples in there. So yeah, have fun with that one, play around with it, and if you're part of my course, feel free to share your results with me. I'm looking forward to see what you guys are doing. Yeah, thanks a lot, and I'm looking forward to our next session.